All right, here's Unit 1, 1.7a, Basics of Inequalities. We're going to start with super basics. First off, an inequality is a way to compare two numbers without knowing the actual value. Less than means that it does not include the value, so like this is less than something. You have an open circle, so it's not filled in. And notice that the less than sign points to the left. As long as you have your variable on your left, this works out pretty fabulous. Okay, is greater than points to the right, and again has this open circle, is included. Okay, is less than or equal to, all of a sudden we're going to filled in circles. Filled in circles represent equal to. That goes for less than or equal to and greater than or equal to. On this one, you'll notice it points to the left. On this one, you'll notice it points to the right. Less than points to the left. Greater than points to the right. The solution of inequality is a number that makes an inequality a true statement. It's any number that makes an inequality a true statement. So there's actually infinite solutions to every inequality. Okay. Interval notation here is important. We use a bracket for closed circles and a parenthesis for open circles. So if I go back to the one above, this one would have been 2 parentheses. Every arrow gets a parenthesis, every open circle gets a parenthesis. Again, here it would be 2 open parentheses. However, here we'd have a parenthesis for the arrow, but a bracket for the closed circle. Here we have a bracket for the closed circle and a parenthesis for the open circle. This is a way to write what's happening on the graph, but in a line, in something we can actually type up. It's very helpful for practice. All right, let's go ahead and try these. So this one we have n is less than 5. So that means on 5 I'm going to have an open circle, and it's going to point to the left. So I'm going to go ahead and make my marker real thick. It's going to point to the left. There we go. And so because there's an arrow, I know that gets a parenthesis, and it's an open circle, which gets a parenthesis. So now we have to think about this. What's all the way to the left? Well, all the way to the left is either going to be infinity or negative infinity. Because we're going into negative numbers and we're getting smaller and smaller, it's going to be negative infinity. And then it's going all the way to 5, and we have those open parentheses. All right, let's take a look at this next one. So we have x is greater than 4. So again, we're going to have an open circle. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to do my squiggle like I normally do. We have an open circle and pointing to the right. Notice that when the variable's on the left, it points the correct direction. Okay? So we have x is greater than 4, so it's pointing to the right, away from 4. Here again, we're going to have 2 parentheses because we have an arrow and an open circle. Now we start at 4, and we go all the way to the arrow. So the arrow again has to be either positive infinity or negative infinity. Because it's an arrow, we're going to get a positive infinity pointing to the right. All right, let's consider this one. This one is negative 2 is greater than or equal to y. So we're going to go to negative 2 and put a closed circle because we have that underline. Okay, and I notice that the y is on the wrong side. So I have to switch this around. I get y is less than or equal to negative 2. So now I want it to go to the left of negative 2. And I can figure this out because if I plug in negative 3, I can see negative 3 is less than negative 2, so I want it pointing towards the negative 3. Whereas if I put a 4 there, 4 is not less than or equal to negative 2, so that's not what I wanted. So this interval notation, again we have an arrow pointing to the left, so that's negative infinity. And this one's going to be a parenthesis bracket because we have that closed circle. This one's going to go all the way to negative 2 with a closed circle. On this one, we're going to have an open circle on 5. The x is already on the left. I think this is not the... that's fine. And it's going to point to the right. Again, this one is 2 parentheses. And we're going to have parenthesis, and we start at the 5. It's pointing to the right, so that's positive infinity. And then we have a closed parenthesis. All right. I want you guys to go ahead and give these two a shot, just graphing them, trying it out. Then try these two out. And we'll come back together here where we're going to write the inequality given the graph.